Hello guys, today we're going to review the movie Pantasya ni Tami, directed by Lee and Izzy Ferrer from Vivamax. The last few movies from Vivamax can barely be called movies. Clocking in at usually around 50 minutes, those movies have become nothing more than glorified short films about bodily pleasures with stories and plots so thin that they can barely hold the narrative together. Every scene is a setup for the next bed scene, and sometimes even after a bed scene, another one would follow. In the rush to show what the audience wants, all else about the production suffers. No character development, major events are just mentioned by captions, making narrative parts awkwardly stick together. The movie is about Tami, played by Azi Acosta, a student who was having family problems in her home as her stepmother, played by Shirley Fuentes, treats her like garbage, while her father, played by PJ Abellana, acts like human furniture. In order for her to cope with her shabby treatment, she enters the world of fantasy and cosplaying. Her being new to the culture made her vulnerable to the advances of Ken, played by Giad Arroyo, a gravure photographer who becomes obsessed with Tami. Watching Pantasya ni Tami was a better experience for me compared to what I have endured during the last few days. I guess the movie was among the last outputs that were of decent length compared to the recent ones that were likely created to satisfy people with the attention span of goldfish. The longer runtime for Pantasya ni Tami gave more opportunities to better flesh out characters and motivations. This is especially seen in how Azi Acosta's character Tami came out. She is a more well-rounded character compared to what we see nowadays, flat characters played by bad actresses. Her background, which motivated her to enter the gravure world, is more believable compared to the usual crap we have been presented lately. In terms of innovation, there is nothing in the story to commend. We still see the usual conflicts and resolutions that won't pass any creative writing workshop. People fall in love without a lot of motivations except for the fact that they need to do so. As a production, the quality is typically poor. The production design looked more like it was made by high school students without a budget. The fantasy scenes looked more like a joke than a proper set. The cheap CGI effects also made it worse. A fight scene involving falling flower petals was cringe-inducingly horrible. The petals only served as an irritating distraction to the scene. The costume and makeup looked like rejects from a barangay Santa Cruzan. A scene showing Tami winning a cosplay competition was ridiculous in execution in that she only looked like she was going to a mall instead of going to a cosplay competition. The cinematography and editing were also horrible. I didn't know why the creators decided to repeat certain actions multiple times, similar to what we see in martial arts movies when the hero does an important hit or movement. Speaking of movement, the choreography in the fantasy fight scenes is derisory and woeful. Whoever choreographed the fight scenes obviously doesn't know how to do so. There is no purpose to the movements. Well, actually there is. The movements are to set up the bed scene. The performers aren't going to win any awards soon with how they acted. Shirley Fuentes looked like she was a human raisin with how horrible she looked. Time has not been kind to her. Her performance is trite and hackneyed. PJ Abellana is wasted here because he is stuck with a stoic expression on his face. Sheena Yu, Zia Zamora, and Erica Balagtas are only here to add more bodies to the scenes, with Erica Balagtas getting more opportunities to entice the viewers as she played the fantasy avatar of Tami, who is always bedding men. Giad Arroyo as the obsessed photographer is sleazy enough and agrees to probably one of the saddest self-pleasure scenes I have ever seen. Ali Asistio plays the good guy boyfriend of Tami and comes off as a third-rate John Lloyd Cruz. Imagine John Lloyd Cruz with a bad hangover and major depression, and you get Ali Asistio. Azi Acosta brings some redeeming value but not enough to save the movie. She fits the part and has an aura of ruptured innocence that makes her performance tolerable. The movie became controversial some time back as the cosplay and convention community protested how the movie portrayed their culture. The critics said that the movie was a superficial look into their community that reduced the culture into its more deplorable parts. that it was a dangerous generalization of what cosplaying is. Well, they do have a point, but I think the issue was overblown because Vivamax is not singling them out. It seems Vivamax plans to use all professions and communities in their movies and turn those professions as vehicles for carnal pleasures. It was a bad portrayal but not worth getting riled up for. Pantasya ni Tami is not something that I can recommend. While it is above the average Vivamax offering, that isn't really saying much. To say that Pantasya ni Tami is a quality movie falls under very, very bad fantasy. So that's the review for Pantasya ni Tami from Vivamax. This has been Kulas for Tami Reviews. Thank you for watching. Keep on playing.